Alrighty, in this video we are going to be pulling the Mustang out of the shed finally and starting to cut on it. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so the plan here, if you guys can see this, is we have two soft straps running to each corner. Sorry, this is awkward on the tripod. Each corner of the support that this car is sitting on, and that is hooked to the hitch on the support truck. And we're just gonna see if we can pull it straight out. There's a fire hazard going on right now. You can't see it over there, but there's a fire going on north of here. So we're gonna try and pull it all the way over here to this dirt area, just so while we're cutting on it, there are a little less risk of sparks and stuff. So we're gonna get you guys set up here. I'll probably move this after we see if this works. But for the first pull here, go set you guys right there. We'll see if this works. Adjust the camera here. Hold the rest of the way. Cool. That actually worked way better than I thought it would. She is out in the daylight. Remove that Mustang, that's my sister's Mustang. And then I'm going to pull this a little bit farther forward. Okay, sorry if the audio's trash again. Let's take you guys for a little tour. Things sucked up here on the tripod, so she's a little more manageable. Alrighty. So like I said in the first introduction video to this car, she's a little rusty. That is a lot of the reason why it's in the state that it is right now, and that I was able to buy it back. The guy that I sold it to did all of this to it, and then noticed there's a lot of rust in it, and kind of lost interest in the project. So as you can see, this quarter panel is completely gone in the back. This one might as well be. The amount of Bondo in there is immense. Look at that, that's just so much Bondo. Wheel wells are trashed. But yeah, so this is the state that it is currently in. But on the bright side, he did some of the work for us because, of course, we don't need the floor. So that side's already done pretty much. This side's got, I have no idea what he cut this out with, but a pair of tin snips or something, Jesus. This side's got a hole in it already. I'm going to try and do this without taking off this rear valance. We are going to probably cut. I don't know where we're going to cut back here for sure. I'd almost like to see if we leave that. I don't know if we can height-wise. I don't want to do a ton of test fits, but I do have equipment nearby that'll let us do test fits if we need to, so we might not cut as much as we need to the first go around. We're gonna have to cut all of this off. My biggest issue is in here, because I need to cut pretty much all of that out. But I need to leave these, but I also need to gut this so I can get a little more width out of this chassis, or out of this body. Because on the donor, walk over here real quick. Fenders also, of course, a little rough. And we are back on the donor chassis, as you guys can see here. I realized as I was editing this footage that I forgot the clip in the last video about us pulling the windshield off, as well as cutting the back end of the car off, which were two of the bigger and more important parts of the whole disassembly. And for whatever reason, I just didn't have it in there, and so rather than make its own little bitty short video, just decided I'd show you guys the footage. This was a lot of fun to pull this windshield. It's very strange cutting through the windshield posts of everything. Here we go, we're onto the back. I did do a lot of cutting on the part from the dash down to the floorboard, as you can kind of see in this part of the video here. So a lot of shaving in there to make the donor chassis here narrow enough to accept the 66 body on top of it. But as you can see here, we're docking the frame. In hindsight, as you'll see as we get into the build more, I didn't need to quite cut as much off as I did, and that's one of those lessons that you learn, that if I was going to do it again, only cut, 4 inches off the back of the car instead of 6 inches off the back, because then we have to actually build back in partially a frame rail setup to accommodate for the little bit of extra that I took off of this car. So it's plenty strong. You guys will see as we get farther into the build here on the reassembly part of this. But just want to jump in here and show these couple clips because they're pretty cool and monumental moments in the build, and I just did not get them included somehow. So I'll finish up the rest of this and we will get back to the donor body.
Hey, them seats are fucking cool.
They turned out pretty good.
Right on, buddy. New carpet too?
Good. Yes,
Right on,
sir.
man. Well, have fun.
You too.
Talk to you
Toodles.
soon.
Oh, that wasn't great. Small casualty. I go get that doctored up and then we'll come back. On this car, there's this fuse box here. And this fat spot where the fuse box sits out on the firewall. And of course I'm supposed to be in, like here. And this is sticking out, and I haven't tried to dismount this fuse panel yet. Don't really want to, but I might have to. And then we'll have to move that just inboard more. And I also think we still have to cut down on the dash on this, from what I've seen other people do. But I do finally think I know what we're going to do with the build. I think we are going to go more safari style. That will more closely resemble the Miata, which is currently down there with a broken windshield. But if we go with that build, then I won't have to go as low on the chassis on this because it'll sit up a little higher anyway. And that'll be the goal. So I think it could still be super cool. So I think that's the style we're going to go with, is we're going to try and go safari lifted 66 Mustang. It's a little different direction than anybody else has gone. So it should be our own unique twist on this. The only part of the body I think we're going to cut off on the bottom is just the lip, just the pinch weld. That should let that body sit nice and tall on those rails and hopefully keep us from having to do a bunch of clearancing on the dash. Width is just our biggest concern, and I'm going to work on that with this car. Cut as much out as I can without ruining structure. We want to leave this lip, of course, here, but everything inside of this is going away. We'll probably even cut it straight here and just kind of go straight down, actually. Maybe. I don't know, I need to do some more looking, but at least I am fairly confident on this one. There's not a whole lot we have to cut, so mainly it's the floor and the dash. And of course we got to cut these front forks completely off. So it'll be a dramatic change, but we also need to get this as light as we can. Because right now, oh, it's not too bad on the front. Front's pretty good, actually. I think the back of these is what's normally heavy. And this one has a lot of Bondo in it, so... Well, that's not too bad, though. Okay, so we might only be looking at a 500 or 600 pound shell right now, if that. So we'll see if I can get that fairly light and get it ready to be lifted. Then we'll get to putting panels back on the car, so yeah. Take a short pause here, get all set up, and we'll start cutting on this one. Alrighty. So the first couple things we're going to do is we're going to take the straps off, obviously, and then we're going to wash it. Clean the dust off it. And be slightly conscious not to touch those bits too much. Now, we went ahead and started with one of the most conflicting parts of this car to cut, which is the dash. And I'll move you guys inside here in just a second so you guys can see that process as we do it. The dash in this car was pretty nice. It had been repainted back when my parents owned it. They actually paid a paint body guy to paint the dash in here, as well as some of the interior exposed metal. Really nice, pretty gray, kind of metallic paint. And I still have plans, I haven't done it yet, to reassemble this dash with all the gauges, with the climate controls, with the glove box, and have it as a type of wall hanger. Obviously, it's not going to go back in a car, probably, but I will say I definitely erred on the side of caution here. I unbolted everything I could to start with, but these were old cars. Stuff is not going to come apart, and some of the stuff just isn't designed to come apart. So, we went ahead and did what we could here to get the dash out. Did get it out in one piece, minimal damage to it. I mean, technically you could probably rehang it and put it in another car if you needed to, but that's not the future that I have planned for it. It is, still part of this car, so it is sentimental to me. That sucks. I don't know if the camera overheated or what happened, but we missed the moment where that came off. Son of a bitch. Okay. Yeah. That is a big moment, so we did get it off. It's been a rough day in the filming department. Roll that down for a moment. I don't know if you guys can see, but you cracked the housing on that too, so. Keep working.
So something I will say that I cannot stress enough if you're trying to do one of these builds at home is just measure everything an absurd amount of times. As we're going to find out, there are a couple issues with the way that I put this car together, with the way that I made the cuts, things that if I'd known I would have done differently. Some of which I explain, of course, some of which I haven't. Some that took me till after having the car assembled to figure out were even a problem. And so it's just one of those things, you guys, just be incredibly thorough. You know, I was honestly built this car way faster than I probably should have for doing it by myself with minimal experience, minimal tools. I mean, as you can see, I'm using, you know, battery-powered stuff. There's no fancy CAD design here. There's no even cardboard aided design here. We are just full on like tape measure, winging it, cutting it, putting it back together. And so, like I said, if I could do one thing over, it would be to take a little more time on some of the stuff that now I know is super important, that then I will spend multiple hours later fixing, that I could have saved myself the struggle of here if I had been a little more careful. So, just some words of advice as you guys watch this time lapse. Don't necessarily do everything I do. If you have questions, if you're trying to do a build like this of your own, please reach out to me, leave a comment, shoot me a message on socials, anything. I mean, I am happy to help after going through this process myself, so just let me know. Alrighty, so here we are doing the last of the cutting to disconnect the floor pan from the body of the car, and I don't think I ever actually made this super clear. As you know, there's not a lot of dialogue in this video, and so when I was looking through the footage, it's like, boy, did I not ever cover that we're actually cutting the floor entirely loose? And I know I said it at the very beginning, but this is the stage we are at, so we are getting the rest of the floor cut away, so that way we can lift the body and get the floor out from under it, which is when the build really starts to get exciting, because that's when it gets real, you know, that's the stage that we're leading up to here, is getting it ready for a test fit, getting it ready to see if it'll fit down on this chassis, and so as you're about to see here in a minute. Alrighty, and so as you can see here, we are back in the wide angle. I am checking to see if there's anything that's not cut loose yet. Obviously there's something that's not quite cut loose yet. Also, I'm looking at where I want to mount the straps, because those are kind of the important parts here. And as you can see, the tractor disc came in. We're using a backhoe. We're going to use the hoe part of the backhoe to lift the body up off the floor so I can get the floor out from underneath it. And then after this, we're going directly onto the 07 chassis. But you guys are going to have to wait until the next video to see that, because this video is obnoxiously long, and the next video is going to be the cool thing. I mean, we're finally putting the two bodies together, or the chassis and the body together, so we can see what the car is going to look like for the first time in its new form. So I wanted to save that for another video. This has been another incredibly long time-lapse video here. We got a lot of progress. I mean, we spent one video doing what took us 3 or 4 videos with the other car, the 07 chassis. Of course, that was a little different style here. But anyway, we are all ready to set it on the chassis in the next video. So thank you guys for subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.